Minasan konnichiwa. My name is Abhishek. I did my BTech in Chemical Engineering from IIT Guwahati. Currently, I am a student of the JLPT Level N2 class at Sakuraa Nihongo Resource Center. I cleared my Level N3 test in December 2012 with full marks. I've had a great time here at SNRC and I want to share with you a bit of my experience so far. At SNRC, I felt like I was back in high school. The teachers are very kind, just like in my school days, and they adjusted to my level of Japanese just like parents hold a child's hands through his initial steps to teach him how to walk. They taught me everything I needed to know, and I'm still learning. I learned new things in every class, and all of it combined has helped me progress a lot. From the exam point of view, the course material is perfect. The study material and handouts contain really useful bits of information apart from the syllabus. And the mock tests in the weeks before the exam were really very helpful because you get to gauge like what kind of questions should you expect on the exam. Studying at SNRC made the N3 feel really easy for me. And regarding studying Japanese, I want to give you 5 tips. I hope that some of it might be useful in your pursuit of learning Japanese. Okay, number 1, prerequisites. I feel that to learn anything, it takes 2 things. The first is motivation, which is external, and the second is interest, which is internal. If any one of these is missing, you will have a tough time trying to learn whatever it is you're trying to learn. With learning Japanese, leave the first part to the sensei at SNRC. You will enjoy the classes thoroughly, and your teacher will provide you with more than enough motivation to progress. The second, that is your own self-interest, is something you have to cultivate. Ask yourself why you want to learn Japanese. You may come up with several answers. Is it because you love Japanese culture, or you already have, or you want to have friends in Japan, or you love anime or manga or Japanese songs or movies, etc.? Now choose the strongest one of them and write it down someplace you see every day, like maybe on the wall at the foot of your bed. I'll explain why. As with any foreign language, learning Japanese takes time and dedication, and with time your patience starts to run out. At that time you need to recall why you started to learn in the first place. I will quote a Japanese proverb, Shoshin o wasurezu, which roughly translates as, do not forget your initial spirit. It means that when you feel like giving up halfway through, just remember why you started doing what you were doing and keep that spirit intact. When you start to get tired of learning Japanese, look back at that wall again and remember why you started learning in the first place. Now coming to tip number 2, attitude. In my opinion, your attitude towards learning a language is very important. We being brought up in a highly competitive society always tend to evaluate things in terms of marks, certificates, grades, etc. While this may reap short-term benefits, in the long run it is practically useless because you often tend to forget everything right after the exam. This is the wrong attitude towards learning anything. Please do not learn just to clear your exams and get certificates. Learn the language in its entirety, and you'll see that the exams are easy and they're just a formality. The third tip is dedication. Learning Japanese may start off as a hobby, like something you want to do in your free time. But honestly speaking, to learn Japanese to higher proficiency levels, a more serious involvement is necessary. It needs to become a passion, not just a hobby. I feel that if you are truly interested and dedicated, you will automatically pick up the language at a much faster pace. The fourth tip is about Kanji. The major difference between learning European languages and Japanese is that for Japanese you have to learn the alphabets again. Whereas for languages like French, Spanish, Italian, you already have the same Roman alphabets with slightly altered pronunciations. As you might know, there are three character sets in Japanese: the hiragana, the katakana, and the kanji. Of these, I feel that learning kanji becomes the single greatest obstacle to be overcome. With English, we only have 26 alphabets, but the actual number of characters is 52 if you consider that the capital and small alphabets look different. With kanji, there are about 2,000 characters. That is the daily use kanji or the joyo kanji. There are kanji outside of this normal 2,000 set. However, this 2,000 mark is equivalent to JLPT level N1. Now, as I said, you should not always target an exam. You should learn the language for itself. So, even then, 2,000 is quite a big number. I first became immensely interested in kanji when my friend showed me how the kanji for mountain, that is yama, is actually derived from the picture of a mountain, or how the kanji for tree, that is ki, comes from the picture of a tree. And when you combine two trees, it becomes a bush or a grove, that is hayashi. When you combine three trees, it becomes a forest, that is mori. Of course, not all kanji are that easy. If you feel that you keep forgetting kanji, try and remember how you learned English as a kid. It was most likely your first foreign language. Do you remember how you repeatedly wrote A, B, C, D every day? And try and remember how many years it took you to reach a standard level of English. Therein lies your answer. And to help you further, I would like to give you an analogy. Do you remember the face of the person standing next to you at the bus stop yesterday? Or the one who was sitting next to you the last time you boarded a flight or a train? Or the waiter at the restaurant you visited last week? No. Why not? It's because you never saw them again. So let's consider something or somebody you see often. Say the receptionist at your office or the neighborhood grocery shop. You find those faces familiar, but it takes time to recall them, right? Now try to remember the faces of your close friends from school, or your favorite teacher, or even your parents. Spontaneous recall, right? Apply this to the kanji and it works wonders. See or write the same kanji or a set of kanji very often, and those will become unforgettable. But then if you stop seeing them for a long period of time, the next time you see it, it might look familiar, but you may or may not be able to remember them completely. I suggest that you should keep recalling those kanji that you tend to forget. Load up those kanji into your phone and look at them when you're traveling or when you are in the breakout area in your office. Sometimes photographic memory may not work out very well. Try using logic in such cases. Try and see how the kanji's component radicals combine together to impart meaning to the kanji. Once you remember the kanji, do the same for the vocabulary too. Although the vocabulary will require you to see context applications as well. The fifth tip: for speaking and listening practice, try and restrict your interaction in the class to Japanese only. Rely on English only when necessary. Listen to Japanese audio regularly, either in the form of radio or news channels, songs, movies, anime, whatever. Anything to keep you listening to Japanese every day. The grammar part is pretty easy to pick up once you start seeing the sentence patterns. And that's all from my side. The rest is up to you. It's not necessary that what worked for me will necessarily work for you. Please try and find your own path. 頑張ってくださいね。